Hi folks, this is lesson 3 for the polynomials unit. You needed to do lesson 2 because that kind of made things go a lot easier. So I just want to stress that adding polynomials is the exact same thing as combining like terms. There's a little thing we have to do with subtraction, but right now let's look at addition because we're pretty confident with that. So again, I'm going to use my colors to identify things that go together. You know, Sesame Street, some of these things don't belong. I'd sing the tune, but it wouldn't be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify the things that we can combine together. So I think the best thing to do is let's look at these brackets. There's nothing I can combine inside the brackets. I'm looking at this first one here. So there's nothing I can combine inside, okay, and we're adding them. So really what this means is 9y minus 7x plus 15a plus a negative 3. So I'm going to write that as a subtract 3y plus a positive 8. So I'm going to write that as a add 8x plus a negative 8a. So I'm going to minus 8a. So I've eliminated the brackets. I find it's so much easier to see when I take those brackets away. As you get better with this, you may not need to take the brackets away, but as we're learning, I think it's a good practice to go through. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify things I can combine together. So I've got my 9y, and I got a negative 3y. So 9 minus 3 gives me a positive 6, positive 6y. Okay, switch a color. And now I have some x's. So I've got negative 7x, a positive 8x. So negative 7 plus 8 is going to give me a 1x. So I'm going to say plus x. I'm not going to put that 1 in front of there because I'm getting proficient. I'm being a very good mathematician. I'm not going to waste my time with that. So now I have a 15a, a positive 15a, and a negative 8a. So 15 minus 8 is going to give me a plus 7a. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my simplified answer. That's all I can do. I'm just going to draw a little line down here so I don't get myself confused. Okay, so I'm going to look at the brackets again. So I'm going to get rid of them. So I've got 3a squared plus 3. Okay, I'm jumping all around here. All right, let's try that again. So 3a squared plus 3ab minus b squared. Now I'm going to look at my second bracket. I'm going to add a 4ab, and then I'm going to add a 6b squared. All right, so I've got a squareds. That's my first one. Are there any other a squareds? There's not in this, so that's my only pink one. Now I'm going to look at things that have ab in them. So 3ab, and then I have a 4ab. And ooh, I'm going to do this in 2 different steps, sorry. And then I have a negative b squared and a positive 6b squared. So now I'm just going to write out what I see. So I have 3a squared, that's my only one, so that's done. Sometimes when they're really long, I like to cross it off, say, hey, I've dealt with that one. Now I'm going to add my greens together. So I have a 3 plus 4, so I'm going to have plus 7ab. So those are done. And then I have negative 1 plus 6, so that's going to be a 5b squared. All right, so those are gone. So that is my simplified answer. Nice and easy. This is exactly like lesson 2. So hopefully this you could do in your sleep. So let's try to do it without removing the brackets, just for funsies. So I'm still going to go through and I'm going to underline my stuff that's the same. So I have an x squared here and an x squared here. Then I have xy here and an xy here. And then lastly, I have a y squared and a y squared. All right, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to do my x squareds first. So I have a 4x squared plus a negative 3x. That's going to leave me with x squared. Then I'm looking at my xy's. So I have negative 2, minus 1. So that's going to be a negative 3xy. And lastly, I have 3y squared plus 2y squared. So that's going to be 5y squared. So even if I don't remove the brackets, I can still do it. But I still like to use color or shapes or something. I particularly like to use color because it makes more sense to me. All right, so scrolling right along, let's look at this. So this is, we didn't do perimeter this year, but we have done it in our mental math and we have done it in past years. So if we're going to find the perimeter of something, we are just going to add up all the sides. We're going to add up all the sides. So nice thing about it is a rectangle. So we know if this side is 3x plus 2, this side also has to be 3x plus 2. And if this side is 2x plus 1, this side has to be 2x plus 1. So the perimeter says I have to add up all the sides. So I have 2x plus 1 plus 3x plus 2 plus 2x plus 1 plus 3x plus 2. I ran out of room. Okay, so we're going to combine like terms. So I can combine all my x's. So 2 plus 3 is 5, 7, and then 10. So I have 10x. And now I can do all of my constants. So 1. Ooh, sorry, grabbed the wrong plus sign. Okay, so I've got 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 2 is a positive 6. Ooh, red and pink don't look very good. So my perimeter has an expression of that, but it says find the value if x is equal to 3. So this is in math what we call substitution. So I've done the hard work getting myself an expression. And now I'm just, anywhere I see the letter x, I'm going to put in a 3. And we know that the operation between the 10 and the x is a multiply. So the perimeter is going to be 10 times 3 plus 6. So 10 times 3 is 30 plus 6. So the perimeter is 36. Now I'm looking around, is there any units? No, none are, it's not centimeters or meters. So I'm just going to write units. So there's an example of how we would use an expression to help us find a real life situation. We could expand this, subtract, depending on if we can change the value of x. What if x was 14? We can make this a lot bigger. And we wouldn't have to do that much math. All right, so we are going to flip to the next page, which is subtraction. So this is the one that I said needs a little bit of an extra step. And it's that second bracket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write that first bracket down. So exactly as I see it, 9y minus 7x plus 15a. Now we know, and when we did the integers unit, we don't want to subtract, we want to add the opposite sign. So we're going to see how this is subtract here. This subtract sign is going to change every sign in the second bracket. So we're going to add the opposite. So we're going to add, it was a negative, so now it's a positive. So we're going to add a positive 3y. And then it was positive, so it's now going to be a subtract 8x. And it was a subtract, so now it's going to change to a positive. So that sign, that subtract sign, is going to change the sign, change the operation of everything we're doing in the second bracket. So you want to stop and you want to make sure that you write that down. And once you've done that, once you've eliminated the brackets, now you can just go back to combining like terms. So 9y and 3y are going to give me 12y. And then I'm going to do my x's. So I've got -7 and a -8, so minus 15x. Oh, I already did purple. I'll go red. Now I have a's, so I've got 15a and 8a, so that's going to give me 23a, and that would be my final answer. So we're going to have to get into the habit of switching the signs in the second bracket. So I'm going to write down everything in the first bracket just as I see it. Nothing changes in the first bracket. And then the 3 was positive, so now it's going to be negative. So -3, sorry, that's an A, 3A. It was a positive 4, so now it's going to be minus 4B. And we're going to combine like terms. So 7A minus 3A gives me 4A. I have a -10B minus 4B is going to give me a -14B. And this would be my final answer. So in this part of it, I need you to do that extra step. So let's look at this one. Again, I don't think I would do it with the bracket still attached. So the first bracket, I write everything down like I see it. Now the next bracket, I change the signs of everything. So it was a -3x squared, so it's going to be plus 3x squared. It was a -xy, so it's going to be plus xy. It was a positive, so now it's going to be a subtract 2y squared. And now I can go ahead and combine like terms. So 4x plus my 3x gives me 7x squared. And then I've got an xy and a -2xy. So -2 plus 1 is going to give me a -1xy. But remember that I could write the 1 if that makes it easier for you. You don't have to if you don't need to. So I've got a positive 3y and a -2y. So that's going to leave me with a positive, y squared. So this is my final answer. I know the notes are colorful and they take a little bit of time, and it's hard when I'm teaching to an empty classroom because I don't know how fast or slow I should go. If you want me to slow down, just let me know. Tell me about it. Okay, so now here in the notes, we've got a bit more complicated problem. It tells us that the perimeter is 10x plus 6. Okay, what did we know about the rectangle? We knew that if this side was 2x plus 1, this side had to be 2x plus 1. All right, so what do we know? Let's call these k's. I'm not going to call them l's for length because l looks similar to 1, so I'm just going to call them k. So we know that the perimeter is going to be 2x plus 1 plus k plus 2x plus 1 plus k. So let's combine our like terms. So 2x and 2x is going to give me 4x. I've got k and k plus 2k. And then I have 1 and 1. So that's going to be plus 2. But it told me that the perimeter is 10x plus 6. So 10x plus 6 equals 4x plus 2k plus 2. All right, so let's move some stuff around so I can get those k's by themselves. So really what I want to do is I want to subtract this 4x from the side. You guys have done this before, so if I subtract it from the right-hand side, I have to subtract it from the left-hand side. So 4x, this is like our shapes. 4 green sticks plus 4 red sticks. Those are gone. What's 10x minus 4x? That's going to leave me with 6x. Now, I'm not doing anything with the k's because there's no k's on the left-hand side. So I'm going to look at that 2. So I need to subtract 2 because positive 2 minus 2 they give me 0. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other. So it's going to be plus 4. Oops, plus 4 equals 2k. All right. Well, I know that each side is worth k. And so I know if I cut them in half, it will give me the length of each side. So really cutting something in half mathematically just means divide by 2. So if I divide this by 2, I have to divide that by 2 and that by 2. I'm kind of jumping the gun because this is lesson 6. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. And don't worry about the x, just rewrite it down. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we know that the length of this side is 3x plus 2. Pretty easy. Well, that one was a little bit more complicated, but you can try to do it. There's lots of ways to do it. Sometimes mathematical reasoning is easier, like you figure stuff out, hey, the half of this is this, instead of actually doing the math. As long as you can show me in a way that I'm going to understand, it's going to make the most sense to both of us. So make sure you get this done. After this assignment, you're going to check your answers. And then assignment number 4, you do not have an answer key for. That's the one you're going to submit to me. So you're going to take pictures of it when you're done, and that's what I'm marking, okay? So take your time, make sure you do it, ask any questions in Google Meet, and we'll chat soon.